So again, I'd like to just welcome all of our parents here today, and we'll get started with our parent presentation. I'm going to share my screen with everybody, and we will start our presentation. And I hope everyone can see the screen okay. Just a couple nods of the head. Mary Sue, everyone can see?
Perfect, yes.
Okay, great, awesome. So again, this is the whole purpose of today is we had a wonderful introduction by Mr. Geary this morning to welcome our students. We're into the second session right now with our students, and the theme is a lot with our going on today is about leadership. And within the first session that we had again with Tony, they talked a little bit about doing the right thing, but it was about emotions, a lot about like how are you feeling and how will others feel, that empathetic side of it. So today, when we talked as our leadership committee, we talked about what would be beneficial for our parents. So today I would like to, myself, I'm going to start with a little bit, and then Kristin will jump in, and then Mrs. Yakowicz, Carrie will end it. She right now, that's why she wasn't on originally, she's supervising the students that are participating from our school right now in the sessions. So I thought this was appropriate to start today with just a simple quote. I won't read it for you, I'll just let parents look at that and read it to yourselves. So I think this resonates with me as an educator. Really, it's about the reason we've chose to be in education. It's about empowering students, giving them the guidance that they need to be able to do their best, either academically or as they become that civic person within their community and doing the right things and feeling good about them. Have that confidence moving forward. University through the multiple intelligence department there. But to start off, I thought this would be fun just to, let me go back here for a moment. Most of us are familiar from the movie back in 2015, Inside Out, and it really was a movie about different emotions. I'm going to just play a quick little segment because I think it is appropriate for people to understand different situations, how your emotions can take over that situation and how the outcomes can be different. So I'm hoping it should all work out. So that just gave you a little bit of an idea when we're talking about different situations and how children and adults feel and then how the reaction is. So I just want to keep that in mind as we go through this, through the presentation today. And I do have a question I'd like to pose to our adult or our parents is, how are you feeling today? So if you just take a minute, if you can just comment in the chat about how you're feeling at this one instant right now. And then I'm going to ask that same question a little bit. And we're going to see if your perspective changes and what might, you can think about that reflective piece about how you might have regulated that emotion to then help kind of set your tone for the day. So when we're talking about social emotional learning, we're talking about, and obviously with the pandemic, it is really taken an emotional toll on all of us, children and adults. So what are emotions? Emotions is the immediate response to something happening in the environment, is invoked in the mind that causes shifts in how we think, that physiology, your breathing, your heart rate. Think about if you're a little nervous like I am right now, my heart might be racing a little bit more. You know, I might be talking a little bit faster. How you express in your face, your body, your tone, again, how your emotion, there's ways that we can read into emotions for adults and for students, and the behavior, that fight, flight, or freeze, approach, or avoidance. So just kind of thinking about that. And within our chat here, I'm just saying, some people are feeling calm, proud of their child, they're happy, grateful. Let's see, happy, glad to be here. Proud of my child, happy, a little stressed. Stephanie, I agree with you on that one. I think in this day and age right now, there's a lot of stress going on with many jobs, you know, juggling jobs and schools with delays, all of that stuff coming, you know, as we're still navigating through COVID. Cold and tired, happy, cold, perfect. Thank you for sharing that. And then why do emotions matter to us? And there's many things. So for attention, for memory, for learning, our emotions affect our decision-making, relationships, quality. Think about if you're having a very stressful day at work, you walk in that door at home, knowing that you have to help the children with their homework, you have to get dinner ready. And it could be that reaction, that gut reaction right away, walking the door of the, you know, so again, those relationships that you're making where your child might have, and I've done this, guilty as charged, go home, I'm a little tired by the end of the day, my children have something special to share with me, and my first reaction, my attitude may not be that positive at that point. So again, we want to think about how we're responding to cultivate those relationships, and then just your physical and mental health. So again, I'm sure you've heard a lot on news pieces and within jobs, children coming home about, you know, caring for yourself and that self-care plan, which is very critical during very stressful times. What is emotional intelligence? So again, you can see at the bottom on the screen, these slides are taken from, I've not created these, so I want to give credit to where credit is due. This is from Marc Brackett, the Yale Center of Emotional Intelligence. He is the founder. And he has developed the Ruler program. Many schools in Connecticut and nationwide do use this program. Sunnyside School does use that. I know Mrs. Brenner's school, they use it also. So she'll be talking that parent piece of it. So when we talk about emotional intelligence, it's the ability to monitor one's own and others' feeling, to discriminate among them, and to use this information to guide one's thinking and actions. So basically what we're trying to say here is that when you can recognize your emotion, you know how you have a toolbox, and we help children to develop that toolbox to be able to navigate those emotions, regulate those emotions, then to be able to make better decisions throughout the day. So that's really kind of the whole concept when you talk about emotional intelligences. And I will share with you some resources at the end. So what is emotional intelligence? Now, again, this is a program based off of Yale, based out of Yale University, excuse me, their Center for Emotional Intelligences. But the pieces of this really resonate to being able to have some home components. So when we talk about Ruler, it's a nice acronym for recognizing your emotion. So you can, you could recognize how you're feeling. You understand that emotion. You can label that emotion, like I was asking you right now, is how are you feeling? That's labeling that emotion. You can express that emotion and regulate the emotion. So again, the schools that are trained, we go through a very extensive 2-day process of really understanding all components of this to be able to then work within our schools. We're agitated, maybe a little frustrated, kind of looking to you as somebody who might be not so nice. It may not always be that they're in that bad mood. It could be that they are anxious about something. It could be that they're a little frustrated. They could be nervous. So again, what we perceive somebody to be may not be the underlining meaning of why someone's feeling a certain way. Not all emotions are easy to read. Context matters, so knowing what has happened can really help us to understand those emotions. Misreading feelings lead to miscommunication. And I think that is one of the biggest pieces I've taken out from really going through a lot of this training, reading more on this whole topic. Asking how do you feel can build clarity. Recognizing emotions is skill that takes time to develop. We are in our 3rd year here at Sunnyside School with our ruler training, and we're still going through that process of stepping back and being able to help our students to recognize and understand how they're feeling. Understanding and labeling emotions. Why do understanding and labeling emotions matter? It helps us to articulate our own and others' needs. We build self-awareness, including greater granular, oh my goodness, granularity, improve communication, written and spoken. You've got to name it to tame it. Enhance your ability to regulate our own emotions. Okay, there we go. Expressing emotions. There often is discrepancy between how we feel and what we display, as I was mentioned before. We are often constrained to expressing emotions in a manner consistent with our roles, responsibilities, and school rules. We often fake or pretend to have a feeling or not to have a feeling or show stronger feeling that we really have. This so-called emotional labor can result in burnout, decreased job and life satisfaction, and health problems. And when we regulate our emotion, we're managing our own and others' emotions with thoughts and actions to prevent or reduce unwanted emotions, initiate, maintain, or enhance desired emotions. And I do want to make it clear that there's no good or bad emotion. So we really express that with the children, with the students, that all emotions need to be recognized and validated. We have more that are, we talk about, there's negative emotions and positive emotions, but nothing is good or bad. So wanting to make sure that we're using that proper language. And we talk about having emotional intelligence, that's the EI, among youth. Children who do not have a full understanding of that may have conduct problems, aggressive behavior, hyperactivity, attention problems, risky sexual behavior, substance abuse, social devices, and then anxiety and depression. More skilled, so again, as children are being more aware of their emotions and how they can use their emotions to navigate their day and to be a more productive part of their day in their community and helping others, they become more empathetic. Well-being, their quality of relationship is better, their pro-social behaviors are better, satisfaction with school, leadership skills, and academic achievement. So again, when we can understand our emotions and have that grounding, we become better more risk takers, which then we actually perform better academically. And again, Yale and some others have done extensive research to prove all of this. So here, just a quick snapshot of enhanced emotions. And if you have enhanced emotional climate, the SEL skill development, 22% percentile of social and emotional skills, you have a higher 9 percentile positive attitude. And then again, more stats on the side here. I won't read them to you, but I'll leave it up for a minute for you just to kind of quickly reach yourself. So you can see is by having and understanding that emotional climate that you are increasing in a positive trajectory, some of those negative pieces that could affect if you're not aware of that. Educators and leaders with a higher emotional intelligence have a greater sensitivity and empathy. So when we talk about developing young leaders, we want children and even adults to understand that when you're working in teams, because we know that in jobs, we're all working together, that we need to be sensitive and empathetic to others' feelings and opinions. So we really want to stress that to children at a young age, that although you might be a leader, doesn't necessarily mean the boss. It just means that you are part of a team and that it's how you're leading and how your risk taking and your modeling to others can help to lead for that good of the goal of the end there. Are rated as a more effective, receive higher performance ratings, developing high performing teams, and build more positive emotional school climates. But again, as you can see, I'm hoping some of this clicks with even in your jobs, that you can see how this parallels again with adults also, and not just with children. healthy outcomes. So if you have more unpleasant emotions, again, we want to have, if you're having those unpleasant emotions, you may have trouble sleeping at night. You may tend to see, again, as adults here, adult tobacco use, mental health problems, higher body mass. Again, is that emotion kind of going to where you might eat to kind of fill that void? So again, these are, again, through research that Marc Brackett has done at Yale, this is where it has come, is when you're having those unpleasant emotions that, and not understanding to be able to regulate them, this is what some of the outcomes may be. Emotional intelligence charter. So when we talk a little bit about within the school system, we talk about a charter. So it's developed within each classroom. And also our staff does one also independently without the children being involved. And the charters really have two main questions. And I'm hoping that this can guide you at home also, is how do you want to feel? So we always ask the students, how do you want to feel coming to school and being in this classroom? And how will we help each other to have these feelings? So again, creating an action plan. And I know Kristin will go into a little bit more of this, that of creating a family charter that you could also do at home. But again, this is one of the components for a ruler within the school system. The other component that we talk about is the mood meter. So again, when we're talking about those emotions, we want children to be able to chart. So you can see right here that it's in quadrants. We have where one axis, you have energy. Do you have low energy or high energy? And then pleasant. Are you happy, or are we maybe not in such that great mood? So again, depending on where a child where they're feeling that we always ask them, what quadrant are you in? Are you in the yellow, red, blue, green? When I started going through the training, I would come home from work and I would talk to my children about that. Hey, where are you guys feeling today? What quadrant are you in? So sometimes we can use words to label it, or sometimes the quadrant. And again, depending on the age group, I think it is appropriate. Our younger grades, we tend to talk about colors because we have some basic vocabulary, and then develop vocabulary to be more articulate in labeling that true emotion. But again, you can see, the ways that it's used. So, where are you on the mood meter? What is causing you to feel this way? Again, the words to describe it, and just saying happy, what are other words or ways to describe that emotion that you're feeling? How are you expressing this feeling? Are you comfortable expressing? And how do you want to feel? And what strategies can you use to shift perhaps more of that negative, that unpleasant emotion that you're feeling? And then another component, again, so we've talked about the charter, just briefly, again, we go through extensive 2-day training, but I wanted to kind of just bring the pieces in for you to see how this plays a part in the school, but then also can mimic and back home. So again, we have that charter, we have the mood meter, and then we talk about the meta moment, which is really about your best self. How do you want to feel? How do you want others to see you? And again, we've all had that time where we flipped our lid, or not showing our best self. And how can we, again, pause, redo a little reset, see, think about how we want others to see ourselves, or how we want to see ourselves, because it's very important that children and adults are comfortable with how they are and recognizing how they're feeling, and then being able to use some strategies to turn that emotion around. So although it seems, saying it seems more simplistic than it truly is in action. So we are still working with our students on really taking that meta moment. And even as an adult, I try, if I'm having a rough day, that drive home, decompress, really making sure when I walk in the door, setting that tone of walking in and, just enjoying the time with my family, and really trying to change that emotion around if I'm having a bad day. So again, I was sharing with you that at Yale University, the Center for Emotional Intelligence, the founder, Marc Brackett, he wrote the book, Permission to Feel. Right now, if you do check out his website, he just started last week on Thursday. I've done a couple of his book clubs. He is starting it right now with the Permission to Feel. You can jump in at any time. He does do them quite a few times throughout the year. But just as a parent of, supporting a leader or yourself, depending on which job you're in, or if you're just interested in, with the stresses that we've gone through with COVID, we're all feeling quite fatigued lately. It really is a great read, an easy read. You could also get on Audible and listen to it in the car, or you can join his some of his book clubs that are really nice. They do it. It's an interactive to. He goes on a video. I highly do recommend it. Also, Marc Brackett is one with the Yale University. Another one that again is we're cultivating young leaders here is more research that has been done on emotion and about mindset with Carol Dweck. And again, her book is Mindset, the New Psychology for Success. And we talk with students a lot about fixed mindset and growth mindset. And we talk about that emotions and regulation. It really falls under that growth mindset and giving yourself an opportunity to reset. If you don't know something yet, you're eventually going to get there, and how can you get there? And again, building our tool set for our young leaders, as they approach different obstacles. And again, it is good that children go through some obstacles so that they can be able to navigate that, navigate of those maybe unpleasant feelings. And then finally, another great researcher that I like to share with you is Brene Brown. And here you can see there's about 8 different books that she's known for. And again, all of these are doctors. They all have their PhD, done extensive years of research. And hers is the armored leader versus the daring leadership. Being a listener or a learner and getting it right versus always knowing it and being right. So again, I think as we cultivate young leaders, it really is okay to make mistakes. It's okay to fumble. I always say that to my students here. I make a mistake, it's okay. I have support around me from my colleagues and even from my staff that help to pick me up and reset me. So I think it's important that we keep that in mind as, again, trying to support students navigating through these very stressful times, and then also taking those bigger leaps. And I have some links here. We are going to be sharing. So in the chat, Rosie was kind enough to put a link in that you will be able to have all these resources, the PowerPoint, and then some of these are interactive. So if you happen to click on this, I won't go into it. I'm just looking at the time. I want to be able to give my colleagues an opportunity to be able to speak also. But it's great. I always found that children's books are an excellent resource for helping students to identify emotions. And really they can connect with characters or settings. In literature, really hearing a story, they will make connections, but they don't feel like it's put right on them. So a list of 50 good social emotional intelligence books that you could have at home, and children are never too young to read a good picture book. Trust me, I even at my age, I love to be able to read a picture book. I go into the different classrooms and read with them, and I do enjoy that. A couple that I'd like to just kind of highlight a little bit is the Color Monster. Again, it kind of follows with our quadrants with the ruler. So I really like the connection that I can make with the students here. B for breathing. Again, how we can add a little bit of that self-care when we're talking about emotions. And then finally, these last 3 is Ruby finds worry, in my heart, the way I feel. And I do have one more slide that I'll share with you about multicultural books, because I do feel it's very important that children see themselves in books. So I just want to stress that the characters look like them, sound like them, have the area where they live, all of that, those pieces of someone's culture, that children can make those connections. Again, just a great tool that children can be able to make connections with their emotions. And that's going to be the end of my segment today, but I just want to hopefully that you took away a little bit with emotions matter. The importance of kind of being able to label that emotion, being able to using some tools then to regulate it, to reset your day, and to be able to make good decisions based on that. So again, I'm just going to ask, put it back out there in the chat for anybody. How are you feeling right now? I'm hoping that perhaps when you came in, your feelings might be a little bit different. You've taken a few deep breaths, that you've been able to see things a little bit differently and kind of understand of how we can help to regulate emotions to make our days a little bit better. So feel free to, if you want to pump in and jump in and just add how you're feeling right now, that would be great. I got some with encouraged, inspired. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. I feel relieved. I came in being very nervous. I feel a little more relieved right now. So informative. Thank you, Jasmine. I appreciate that. Inspired. So again, in the situation that we're in, our emotions do change. So I feel a little relief right now. I'm going to pass it over to Kristin so that she will be able to give a little more recess to our parents. And I'm going to stop sharing. And
could you
Kristin,
continue?
I'll pass the ball to you.
Can you continue to share?
Oh, yes, sure. No problem.
Thanks.
Yep.
And I'm feeling a little bit more nervous than I was just a couple minutes ago. So Amy, thank you very much for that information. It was really, really helpful. So at schools, we have been learning about emotions and emotional intelligence for, quite some time. And it's sort of like putting on your own oxygen mask first before you can help support your child. So we've been learning about that through the adult lens, and now we're starting to support our children. And many schools have been using things like Ruler or Carol Dweck's mindset and applying it through the lens of school and through the lens of academics. But there's a lot of components that we can take for families and caregivers to support emotional regulation in our children. I don't know if you could forward that. Thanks. So Ruler offers many great suggestions. And Rosie has created a link for us. And in that link, you'll find lots of different resources. And a couple of them I'm going to highlight today. In addition to looking at it through a family lens, they also offer things about reading questions and helping kids with homework. So if you just wanted to do the academic piece, that's also available as well. But Ruler offers to pay attention to your own emotions. So that way, we know, as Amy alluded to, when you come home from work, how you're feeling and taking a quick moment to notice and name and discuss your own emotions, either with your children or with other adults in your life. Listen and understand to be curious about others. We talk about being emotionally curious about other students and talking about different emotions and labeling them. So in other words, I'm not just sad, but I might be down, or I might be lonely. I might be inspired and optimistic. So really putting different labels onto emotions. There's a couple of apps out there that help with that and that come up with emotion label names as well, but also to show empathy when you're talking about your feelings, and we all want to feel understood, and our children are no different from that. And we may not agree with someone else's perspective. The two kids at home might be fighting over something, and while not to take sides, but to appreciate everybody's perspective, and then there's more than one perspective, and certainly stay connected. Through the past couple of years, we've had opportunities to be connected with other people in different ways, and just utilize those. As Marc Brackett talks about, sometimes there's arguments and things like that. And so have the courage to repair relationships, and to if you're disappointed in something, share that. Don't be afraid to be the first one to reach out or to say you're sorry. And finally, he offers to be kind, just to be kind to one another. Next slide, please. Also, we talk a lot about active listening and validating feelings. So listening with the full attention before jumping in, spend some time giving your child the full attention. And I know that's very challenging to do in the home, because there's a million other things that need our attention. But kind of just taking a moment and empathizing and hearing from what your child has to say, and helping them name the emotion, and so that they can name it to tame it, is what he talks about. What's important is it's communicated in a tone of voice that conveys caring and understanding and kindness. And then rephrasing some, if your child is frustrated about something, if you can just go to the next slide. If your child is frustrated with something, try to reframe it into a positive way or a different way of thinking about it, and maybe just posing, I wonder why this is happening, that kind of thing. I statements are very helpful with dealing with both other adults and with children as well, showing what you're concerned about, and showing how you feel rather than criticizing and blame. Next slide, please. Basically to validate all the emotions, because as Amy alluded to earlier, there's no bad emotion. It's, this is how I'm feeling at this particular time. So just modeling that and trying to create a repertoire of vocabulary for feeling words, and helping to support our students and our children in the best possible way. Next slide, please. Understanding that it's challenging, right? Like we all have our moments in our days, and things get really sometimes very, very challenging, and we need additional support. And if you're feeling frustrated or fatigued and you need some help, certainly your child's teachers and reach out to the school. We're adept at helping, and we often have a lot of resources at our disposal that we can share with you. 211 is an info line if you are struggling with not only mental health issues or emotional issues, but also, if you're having difficulty finding childcare, or if you're having difficulty with financial issues, the info line 211 offers a lot of great resources and support, and they're confidential. Those two things would be helpful. Also, as Amy was talking about different books, your public library would also, your children's librarian may often have great resources to help support your families. Next slide. So emotions aren't just mindless urges. They contain thoughts about matters of importance. And so, whether we are cultivating our young leaders, or whether we are, working on something in our families, emotions are important and they do matter. So thank you. And I will turn it to Carrie now to talk about Look for the Good.
Great. I'm going to get Carrie. She's just watching, so just give us 30 seconds. I'm going to go watch our students while she comes in, and then she'll share her screen. So one moment, please. Thank you.
So Rosie has put in the link in the chat several different times about the resources. So if you want to click on any of those after, and also the PowerPoint is also up there as well. Does anybody have any? Yeah.
Kristin, I just want to say that if a couple people are having difficulty opening that document, if you are not using a Google email, you may not be able to get into it because it is a Google Doc. So I will put my email in the chat for everybody. And if you can't get it and you want me to send you after this is over, I can't do it right now because I'm recording. So I have to make sure that I don't leave my screen. But if you want me to send you a Word document of the resources, I'm happy to do that. So I will put my email in there and you can get them that way. We'll also be posting them on the CAS website when we post the recording from this session.
The resources also have thoughts and ideas on how to create a family charter. A family charter talks about how we want to feel and how we want to behave as a family. And it gives you, it has some building blocks of some of that. And I do see Carrie on. So hi, Carrie.
Hi.
Turn it
All
over
right.
to you.
I am going to share my screen. All right, so today I'm going to be sharing with you some free resources that are available through the Look for the Good project. And if you go onto your computer and just search for Look for the Good project, you'll find the website. It's just look for goodproject.org. You might have heard of Look through the founder, Ann Kibitsky. She created it years ago. The gratitude campaign is a 2-week gratitude program that starts off with an assembly with the student leaders, and the kids write little sticky notes, which are all put together, and they make a gratitude wall. The school community also shares kindness cards. There's a gratitude spot in the hallways where kids can kind of just jump on and say their gratitude out loud. At the end of the 2 weeks, students write a You Matter letter to someone that has mattered to them in their lives, and then they share that letter with the person and read it out loud to them, which is really meaningful. And the whole gratitude campaign has gotten a lot of great feedback over the years. We asked the kids about it, and there's a lot of great data that suggests that office referrals go down. So it's really a great thing if you wanted to bring that to your school. But if you visit website now, there's a lot of free resources that I can show you today on how to navigate the website here. So once you go to the Look for the Good website, you'll meet Maya and Sunny. These are the two characters that Ann Kubitsky created. They will be in her picture books that she's writing on how to handle emotions as they get bigger. So when we go down a little bit, you also meet, this is Anxiety, and he is, the little characters are like, we consider them emotional friends, not anxiety like, oh, go away anxiety, but a friend that kind of, if you change your mindset and think about it as someone, all right, anxiety's here, he's here to help me, what are you doing here? Then it kind of changes the way you look at emotions and views them in a more positive way, because it's really our body's way of reacting to stress. So if you go on to the little video here, he starts off big, and then as you read, he gets smaller and smaller. So it's a cute little interactive way of introducing kids to their emotions, but it's also a way to get them to practice the deep breathing, and just a fun thing that you could do. And again, this is free on the website. You can give it a try. When you go down a little bit, now we learn that if you continually tell yourself and other people that everything's fine, if you're feeling stressed, oh, it's fine, usually you put on a smile and just keep going, you can put them in this I'm fine box. And that when you leave all your feelings in there and leave them in there for a long time, it could affect your life after a positive way, so they don't just tuck them away, but really think, why am I feeling sad right now? Instead of just putting it away and not this. And after a while, it could even lead to things like guilt and shame, feeling shameful about your emotions. So if you go down a little bit, there's also a free app that got involved with Look for the Good. It's called Kinzu, and it's just a great way. The Look for the Good app is within there, and they kind of take you through these little wiggles that have been created, which I'm going to show you. It's kind of interactive. It asks you, how are you feeling right now? And then it takes you down the little path about how to manage your emotions. Because I have 2 kids at home, and they come home from school with a wide range of emotions. And sometimes I just don't know exactly how to help them. So these are just some tools that you can use to kind of help them, in their interactive and fun to look at. So it kind of helps them to understand why their feelings are here. And I have to be honest, I've used a couple of these sometimes too, because I will tend to be like, everything's fine, moving on. But what we need to do is really look, all right, why am I feeling anxiety? And this website will kind of help you to work through why anxiety is here and what are some positive things that are coming out of it. And really, our emotions are there to help us. They're not there to be stress to us. It's just a different, like I said, a different way of looking at it. Ann Kubitsky is also writing some picture books that are coming out, which also have these wiggles in them, and they're interactive. So you shake the book and you poke on the book, and you like push little sadness to try to get them to turn over. So the books are actually, they have these wiggles in them too. And they're pretty fun to use. A little bit about Look for the Good, but I'm going to go back up to this part right here that says Wiggle Warrior Training. And this is a little explanation. And there they are, little emotions. I'm going to pause that though, because they'll keep boinging at the top. Now it's important when you have stress to kind of realize the different feelings your body has. I don't often pay attention to how my body is feeling. Like, is my heart racing? I might feel like maybe I'm getting a little sweaty, or, these are just things that you can look for when you're having these emotions. So it's really important. And each of the books will have a page that kind of helps kids to be aware. All right, are my cheeks getting flushed? Am I feeling a little shaky? Oh, I could have this emotion now. So it kind of helps you to realize what your body is trying to tell you so that you can handle each emotion. And the I'm fine box, we all need it sometimes because we have to get stuff done. So it's important to know that it's all right to put it in there, but then go back later on and look at why you were feeling that stress in the first place. Like when you want to get stuff done, sometimes you just have to put your anxiety aside, and then you will go back later and figure out, all right, why was I feeling so anxious then? But if you let the stress build up for too long, then that's when stress begins to, if you put the emotions in there for too long, then the stress begins to build. Now, when that happens, we could have other emotions that come up like guilt and shame. And those are the ones that kind of squash your self-confidence. So by handling the emotions in a positive way right from the beginning, it kind of will help you not to feel as anxious or stressful or guilty, that those other emotions that could come up and kind of make you feel bad about yourself. Or, you know, the kids, we want to make sure that they're handling their emotions in a positive way. So a wiggle warrior will take their stress out of the box. Now, sometimes I put so much stress in my I'm fine box. I put so many emotions in there that it's important to realize you need to kind of take out a little at a time and not all at once. So knowing that I can take an emotion out and turn it into strength. So what you're doing is you take like sadness and you work through the wiggle warrior path, which I'm going to show you. And if you think about it, sadness can kind of help you become a caring person and resilient, caring about yourself, you know, taking care of the things you need. So all of the emotions, but all of these emotions that we previously thought are these negative emotions, because they're uncomfortable, could be turned into something positive. And these are the things I think that have really helped me with my kids, is kind of helping them to, how can I turn it around into something positive? This heart map is actually based on the work of Hillary Jacobs Hendel, and she has an adult version of this map, but Ann Kubitsky has worked on translating it into a way that kids could understand. So in the heart map, you can see here, we avoid the stress. And then what we have to do when we have that I'm fine box is realize, you know what, I want to make a choice to feel better. So when you do that, you kind of get curious about it. Then you open the box, become a wiggle warrior, and then you have this open heart where you can be, you feel good about yourself, and you could be there for others too. And this is the wiggle jar. Like I was saying before, sometimes your I'm fine box is stuffed with so many emotions. You just take one out at a time and work with that one emotion and find out why that emotion is there. Again, the deep breathing. So the wiggling comes into play because it's a biological thing that when you have stress built up, you wiggle, and then your body becomes ready, physically ready to kind of think through things. Sometimes when I get so upset, I just go out and I want to run. Or, you know, this is why, like, if you could punch in the air, and those are some of the little wiggles that we have to go along with each stress. So again, making the choice to become a wiggle warrior helps you make sunshine choices. Now, go to the bottom. Yes, at the bottom it says, I'm ready to unpack the box. So here's your stress. Here's the box, and you can click on it and it opens it up to all of the different emotions. This right here is a little download that you can use, and you can check off the emotions as you do them. So you can see your progress as you go through each of these little emotions below. Now the emotions go from kind of a more just a minor kind of emotion to the more severe emotions on this side. So you can kind of pick one. How are you feeling? For example, let's click on frustrated. You can talk to your child and say, how are you feeling today? I'm feeling frustrated. And, you know, it kind of helps to look at the faces on them too. So you read this together. You can wiggle your frustration into motivation by performing activities from the wiggle jar. So here it is. You wiggle through, you do each of these, stomp on the floor. Think about it if you're frustrated, even me, if I'm frustrated, punch in the air, stomp on the floor, clap your hands over your head, touch your toes, think about what you need. And at the end, it goes into some breathing. Now, this is the really important part. It helps you work through why frustration is there. Frustration shows up when there's an obstacle. And it's okay to feel frustrated, but it also kind of helps you to, at the end, think about the choices you make and a way to kind of work through that frustration. So you can go back to the list of emotions, say you're feeling frustrated and it makes you feel a little sad even. So you can click on sad. Again, the different wiggles that you go through. And then when you go down to the bottom, you sit with your sadness and ask it what it needs. You know, why is sadness here visiting? You could also return to the list of emotions and just go through them. Now, at the top over here, you can click on the sunshine. And this is the home page that I first introduced you to when we went to the Wiggle Warrior training. You can also go to the family program over here. And there is an audio program. So all of the wiggles are on this website. But if you really like them and you wanted to hear them on your phone, you could purchase a year's worth of them for $25. And if you go down here, you can see the different tracks that are included. And there's sample audio ones too. So even if you're feeling angry, you could just listen to it right here with your child.
Sometimes things happen that we don't like or want, and we feel angry. You can wiggle your anger into a new boundary by doing some physical activities from the wiggle jar. Let's practice. 3, 2, 1, action. First, pound your chest like a gorilla and count down from 10. 10, 9, 8.
So you
7.
can see each of these will actually take you through the wiggle. So there's 3 that are included right here on the website that you could just go ahead and try out. Also, the picture books will be coming later on. And I mean, it just depends on how you would want to, you know, view the wiggles. If you like them on the computer, then these are all free. You can go right ahead and use those. If you wanted to hear them, if these were really working, you can go ahead and get them on your phone. The books will also be available, and all of these books here, the Mad, Sad, Afraid, and Icky, like I said, they're all interactive. And as your child's reading them, they will actually do wiggles with the book and shake the book and jump up and down with the book. So just kind of helping you to wiggle through the emotions. And there are also other resources on here that you might be interested in. So working with emotions, though, is pretty important because it's about the choices that you're making. So if you choose to want to become like to look at your emotions, it helps you become a sunshine person to others. So it's also important for us to make sure that we're handling our emotions, because then we can be there, be our best self for our children also. If we're feeling a little anxiety, you ask yourself, why is the anxiety here? You could use these wiggles, but especially that part at the end that leads you through exactly how to work through the anxiety. Maybe you need to check, like, if I had anxiety about presenting today, maybe just a little, you would go through and check just to make sure you have everything you need. Do I have my notes? Did I go over it? And you feel better about it. So it kind of calms you and makes you feel like there are things that you can do. So if we make these choices, even ourselves, the kids can become trusted friends to each other, and we could also become trusted adults to the kids in our lives. And I'm going to stop sharing. All right, so Amy's at the door too, so I don't know if there's any questions that anybody had. We have like a few minutes. I'm going to go out and get back to the kids and start doing my yoga and stuff like that. So everybody have a great day.
So does anybody have any questions or wish to share anything? You could either put it in the chat or you could call on you.
You can feel free to unmute also if you have a question. If you don't want to type it in, you're more than welcome just to unmute yourself and ask any questions. So Lauren, I do see a question. You said, are the kids getting all of this exposure today? So not ruler and look for the good. They're having other exposure, same concept. So about really emotion, the gentleman that's on right now, emotional regulation and how you can kind of hone in your emotions to, to be productive or to, whatever the goal might be.
And it connects to some of the mindfulness work that we have been working on. The last session is an author, Renata Bowers, who she has written about free to be. So, so she's going to connect it in a different type of way.
And she's another great resource with all of her books too. And she's closing out the conference today for our students. We have a couple questions here. How can we be how can we be most helpful in this virtual world? And can we provide look for the good funding for our school? So yes, so if for the look for the good, if you look over on their website, right now she is not running the kits this year. She kind of pulled back a little bit because she is writing the books as Carrie shared, but there is funding available in different ways. There are some links on there. If you're having any issues, just let us know. We can definitely help you out with that. But really everything will be on that main website, which is also in the parent docket that Rosie has put together and shared. And then any suggestions for talking about it with them tonight? I mean, I just love the concept of starting and then Kristin jump in. It's just like, how are you feeling today? What do you think about today's workshop? In the past, when we used to take our kids on these on this leadership conference off-site, we being in the Fairfield County, we would go to the Sacred Heart University. The kids would come back and they just wanted to meet with me as the principal, and they couldn't wait to like get their ideas going as young leaders and what could they do in the school. They really were empowered and really energetic. So I would just, kind of let them drive or steer the ship today when they come home and ask them how they feel, what they thought, what was something that they liked the most, and, actions they'd like to take. Kristin, any thoughts on that?
And also offer that you've learned some things too, and feel free to share some of the things. Your students may not be doing it in the same way. Your schools may not be doing ruler in the same way, but the components of social emotional learning are pretty broad, and it has been a focus of Connecticut school districts across the state in the past couple of years, and it has become a real priority as students, as there's a real need and a real struggle for taking care of ourselves in a different way. So even though your school may not do look for the good or may not do ruler, they've certainly talked about those components.
Yes, social emotional learning is a big drive from the State Department of Education due to some of the isolation that our children have gone through, and adults too, through the pandemic. Really we're looking at almost 2 solid years now of trying to have especially our younger students, those beginning years, anywhere from 2 to 5 right now, that really might have been more isolated than normal, of not being maybe in a daycare setting with other peers and learning some of those readiness skills. So social emotional learning has been abundant through all schools nationwide.
We appreciate everybody's openness to our presentation today, and I hope you took away something that was meaningful to you. And I really, really appreciate you spending the time, because I know that it's your time is very, very valuable. So really appreciate you coming on today.
Yes, thank you so much. We'll hang out here in case a parent had a question towards the end. And Rosie, I see you're jumping on now. If you want to.
I'm just jumping on to tell parents that if they want to join the leadership conference, that's going on for another 45 minutes or actually another hour, I think. And so you're welcome to do that. And it will be posted. I put this in the chat. It will be posted on the CAS website. So if you want to see what your children saw today, you're going to be more than welcome to view that once we get that posted on the website. And thank you all for joining us, and a special thank you to Carrie, Kristin, Mary Sue, and Amy for a great presentation.